Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Gordon Jones. I am a fiction created by Alex Jahans. I am the anti-critic. I have a gun that does I know not what. Welcome to my show. You're about to watch a video. Suppose you'll like it, or maybe not, I don't know. Whatever, on with the show! Space parasites created God through telekinesis. Welcome, young weird people, to my school where we teach weird people how to fight the evil weird people. I'm not afraid of death, and that's why I can kick your ass. I am Awesome Man. He is such a shithead, and he's going to hell, but he's on our side. It's time. Greetings, fair and awesome people of YouTube. I think it's time to kind of clarify something a little, because I feel it needs clarifying. Feminism, sexism, with regards to fiction. Any medium you want to choose. Video games, films, TV series, books. Take your pick. Except for reality, this is purely about fiction, okay? I'm sensitive to this subject. It's something that is quite close to me and is quite close at hand, and it is something that dogs me, that internally I am continually berating myself over. Because you see, I am a pulp writer. I like strong, badass men. I like techno-babble exposition. I like cool ass ships. Tremendous, interesting creatures that are phenomenal monsters or even just really cool allies. Christ, this feels so wrong, but I can't know it. I like and appreciate some of the less well-regarded tropes as pertaining to women in fiction. Okay? I mean, I'm not generally someone who likes to see characters die anyway, so I'm not going to touch on the comic book issue with all of the many things they do wrong, because, yeah, I don't read comic books, so unless it's about films, which I have watched, doesn't really kind of impact on me. Although I grant that is an issue, and I'm not saying that the portrayal of women in fiction isn't an issue, because it is. It is, and I acknowledge that. And, you know, people like Tropes versus Women they've made good points, and yeah, right, good, yeah, totally right. I do, I see and I agree. But as a writer, as a fan of stuff, I really feel that, well, I know, because I've done it, is that if you take all of the myriad advice and criticism that is given out there from the oblique and unhelpful, well, just write women as people, to the scathing, nitpicky critiques of this isn't right, this isn't right. It is incredibly hard treat women well if you are a man. And it's not like I'm a complete shut-in and don't know any women. I mean, for God's sakes, so many of my friends are women. It's just that it's hard. It's hard to write women well because there are so many traps that you can fall into, and there are so many ways it can be misled. I mean, the whole thing about agency, okay? Because if we step aside from the issues of what counts as sexism in a work of fiction for a moment, because other people have done that job of deconstruction and criticism far better than I, let's have a look at heroes. Okay? Heroes like, well, John Crichton's more of a deconstruction, but the Doctor, yeah, or like in Star Wars, okay? It's just the male characters, the hero characters, they aren't. Yes, thematically, we know they are going to win, right? Because it is the rules of the genre, right? And we know that they are the big damn heroes, and so they will save the damsel, whoever the damsel is. But it's not like they don't ever need rescuing. I mean, for God's sake, Doctor Who started with William Hartnell as an old man with like a jippy heart, who would just be like, oh dear, I'm quite tired. Let's just rest for a moment while they chase us because, oh God, that was quite knackering. Yes, it was. I mean, again, there are problems. There are very real problems that, yes, should be addressed and are being addressed and are being called out. But an imperfect work is not a work that deserves to be chided over and burnt at the stake. Star Wars, and I'm not talking about the prequels here because I know that on here my opinions differ to most sensible people, but even like the classic series, the classic original series of Star Wars, that can be read as pretty darn sexist. I mean, they've basically one female character, and she spends the first film, she is the princess who needs to be rescued. And then in the third film, she's captured and put in a chainmail bikini. It's just there are so many great works that would never have come to pass, that would have to be chided, that would have to be forgotten about if we took this declaration of feminist intent to the nth degree and said, no! Anything that has in any way got any of these negative tropes or troubling issues, it must just never be watched, because it is wrong and evil, because I don't necessarily agree with the concept of evil anyway, which you should probably know by now, but I really take issue with the whole burn the witch idea. I know nothing is. But yeah, the idea that oh, okay, this thing has done something wrong, let's just kill it. Let's just make it die, let's make it suffer, because you can never be allowed to get away with something like that. Okay, people make mistakes and this is fiction. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm kind of trying to make a living out of my rage at the horrors of the fiction I have to sit through. So yeah, I get it. If you're gonna be a reviewer who is going to do rage videos for ad revenue and because it's funny, I have no problem with you saying, I'm gonna do this for the greater good of putting the word out there. Okay? Which is why I think that Tropes vs. Women is a fantastic series and I would like to see it continue because it's entertaining. It's entertaining and it's got a positive message. But this is a work of fiction. Yes, it's imperfect. Yes, everything is imperfect. But the thing is that we are in the process of improving. We are in the difficult teenage years of our civilization when the hormones are kind of just settling down and we're still a bit stupid and we still don't quite know what to think or say and we're kind of beating ourselves up about it, but we're trying to do the best and it's just, I don't think that for at least the next half a century that we are going to be producing works that aren't in some way able to be labelled as sexist. Because it's just, we are not used to it. Because, ontological inertia, things have momentum, okay? The people today are inspired by the rights today are inspired by the rights of yesterday, and the rights of yesterday, and the rights of yesterday. But each time we ameliorate it with our own perspectives. Now the issue here is that is I feel that we don't have many female writers examples to work from, or at least we haven't been allowed to see them because of the actual genuine sexism and patriarchy in the publishing system. Okay? Because the publishing system believes that we don't want to see works by women. And that's the bigger issue. Because you know what guys doing the criticism? I'm a writer. I'm a shit writer. I'm a bad writer. I am a pulpy writer. I write fanfiction. Oh, I create my own original stories and stuff. But I work off the back of inspiration from the last thing I read or watched. Okay? The fact that I started writing after watching a Doctor Who episode should say that. I feed off the fiction that comes before. And that's not uncommon. Quite a lot of writers do that. And so, if the fiction that writers today are drawing on uses sexist tropes, then they're going to write the sexist tropes as well, because they're doing homages. So what we need is more female writers getting noticed, saying, here is how you write women. Because then we won't have to write good. But no, genuinely, it won't be kind of staring at George R.R. Martin going, yeah, George, great advice. Just write women as people. Because I saw them before as great green obelisks made out of jade. No, it's because as a fanfiction writer, I can identify tropes and I can reuse them. Similarly, I can leave out tropes that I find troubling. But the problem I have is that so much of my fiction is defined by male writers, who are defined by other male writers, who are defined by other male writers, who are defined by other male writers, who are defined by utterly sexist pigs. Because that's it. If you go back far enough, then yeah, they are just utterly sexist fucking pigs. And it's not. At least I hope not. At least that's what I tell myself to make myself sleep at night. That we're not actually sexist. When we write the tropes of yesteryear, the tropes that were created by the utterly fucking sexist, we don't do it because we are utterly fucking sexist. We do it because we are writing what we know, and what we know is the fiction written by other people who wrote bad stuff, and it's not simple enough to just say, oh, well, write women as people because we write tropes, because we write fiction based on the fiction we know. There is a pattern to it. And because at the end of the day, writers cheat. We put ourselves into the characters we write about. And there is only kind of so far that can extend. I mean, you would have to do so much research to put yourself into the position where you could write a woman nuanced correctly. And the thing is that if you don't, you're writing tropes. And that is it. I mean, I suppose George R.R. Martin was correct in that. Write women as characters, i.e. as a selection of tropes. Because you know what Daenerys is? Daenerys is a child who was sold into a marriage by her incestuous brother who dominated her. Yeah, she was a fucking strong female character, wasn't she? Yeah, good on her for having so much agency and being sold into a marriage by her incestuous dominating brother. I mean, yeah, that's such a strong female character. We need female writers. That's it. We need women writers. That's the big solution. The solution isn't to give prospective male writers fucking nightmares about whether they've written something that will get them hated by the feminist community. Because guess what, guys? Making writers feel like pieces of shit doesn't actually help them write any better. It doesn't actually genuinely make anything better, making the people doing their jobs feel like shit. Because, you know what? It's like Douglas Adams when he was writing the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series. So Long and Folks for All the Fish is a marvellous piece of writing. And it's utterly sublime. I mean, okay, it's a rom-com, but I loved it. It's cheerful, it's happy, it's upbeat. And then Douglas Adams got a bit depressed and he decided, in Mostly Harmless, to end all of the worlds! All of the birds and all of the characters, everything shall die! Because I am having a bad yeah. And then he died. I mean, yes, criticism is needed. Yes, the points being made in criticism are valid. But criticism like that is only going to help so much. Because the thing is, there is something called artistic integrity. Artistic integrity. The plot says so. It's why Robert Downey Jr. went blackface for that Gods of Thunder thing. It's why people smoke drugs and they use racist slurs and stuff in documentaries and in dramatizations because the artistic integrity says this is of a time, this is what would have happened, so therefore they're going to do it. And when it comes to fiction, if you can justify it in the original setting, then you can justify it in terms of character, in terms of story, because there are ways to make it justifiable from the character's point of view. Just as people were screaming at Day of the Doctor because the Doctor no longer killed billions of children. They were genuinely angry. How dare Moffat change it so that the Doctor didn't murder billions of children when he is the lead character on a children's show? And don't give me that look, okay? Yeah, it's a family show. Adults are meant to watch it as well, but so are children. Okay? There's a reason we don't have Children of Earth in Doctor Who. We have it in Torchwood, the adult spin-off that children can't watch, but we are okay with characters doing evil things for the plot. So getting angry at male writers because they have a character do evil things like misogyny isn't going to work. Because even if you genuinely can somehow bully all writers into stopping until they have a legitimate story need to do it, you are going to have male writers doing that cat-handedly because they don't have good examples to work from. Oh, I'm sure there might be a couple who can do a fairly good job at it, or at least well enough to keep the female audience happy, but it's not going to be good. The male writers aren't going to improve through being bullied. Because, don't work. As a motivating factor, making someone feel like shit, making someone hate themselves doesn't actually fucking work. And so, I implore you, please, if you want to fight sexism, go out and buy a book or a film or any kind of fictional medium. Go out and buy something written by a woman and read it, watch it, enjoy it, love it, and then learn why it's good. Because we need more men reading women's work. That's how you conquer sexism. You conquer sexism by letting the men be informed by the women where it counts, on the page. Because writers learn by reading. Not by reading insults against them, but by reading how to write good. I mean, this is why we study Shakespeare. Because you can learn to write by studying the bard's prose. Or scripts, because he didn't write prose. But this is it. This is just it. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but if you are stuck, if you're unsure what book to read, pick up Temeraire. Because Temeraire is Hornblower with dragons. Hornblower with dragons. Napoleonic Wars with dragons. And it is women, and it is written by a woman, Naomi Novik. And it's bloody fantastic. It really is. And that's it. We just need to have more women writers. We need to have the publishing industry recognising them. And we need to have more male writers reading more women writers. It's just it. That's just it. Criticism has a place, but not mobbing. Not mobbing. Because, you know what? Mobbing is just revenge. Doesn't change anything, it's just revenge.